Jide's Diary, episode 8. The look on their faces changed from the initial expectant look to that of horror as the reality of the question hit them. They looked from Banji to me and then to one another. They were debating inwardly whether to answer my question or not. A lie will not help your case. Just say it as it is and we shall move from there. You should know that I am very good in detecting lies, so don't even think of lying to me, I intoned. The statement added to their mystery. Their faces became white and their eyes became red. What they had earlier relished and spoken with pride had become a source of immediate sorrow to them. Banji looked at me and smiled. He knew I had woven them into a tight corner and only the truth could set them free. Both of us had the gift of lie detection, but mine was sharper than his. He would detect a loophole in a lie after giving it a second thought. Mine was instantaneous. I did not know how I came about it till now. Something just rings in my mind and tells me that what you have just said is a lie, and I will put it to you straight as it is. Then it's either you deny it or call me a wizard. The three girls thought for some time and put their heads together for 1 minute. I pretended as if I did not see them and I could hear them whispering to themselves. Then they breathed deeply, which I took as a sign of telling me that they were ready. So, are you ready to tell me? I asked. Yes, sir, they chorused. I am all ears. I listened with rapt attention as the silence in the room became deafening. Bola spoke. Sir, we were taught by Miss Shola. I laughed loudly and I knew that the girls would have thought that I was sick. The laughter was so loud that it reverberated through the room and anybody passing outside would not have a difficulty in hearing it. What she said was not enough to elicit such laughter, but I had learnt in life that shocks has a way of making you do things that you won't do naturally. I was shocked by their revelation. I had expected that it would have been someone who I did not know, somebody they had met outside the school. Shola never crossed my mind in the least of minutes. I was caught offside. I looked at Banji. He was also caught badly by it. He just opened his eyes and mouth wide open, dripping saliva. He was shell shocked. I was the closest to Shola of the two of us. I naturally had a dislike for the lady, but Banji was unusually warm towards her, and she searched and looked for all avenue to get close to me. I was perplexed. I was more than surprised. Why would Shola initiate these innocent young girls into such an evil act? At least by Nigerian legal and moral open standard. Where did Shola herself get into the act? Why is she doing it? It would be utter foolishness to ask if she still does it. Then, how many more girls is she putting into this act? I was totally astounded. Shola had always been finding ways to get close to me. I had limited our interaction to only greetings. Good morning. Goodbye was our relationship. But she had tried to take it further than that. She behaved as if she had known me previously, which I didn't think was possible. I can never know someone as bad as her, I had once thought. Banji never had any problem with her. They had gone along well. He had even told me once that her face looked familiar, but I never denied and refuted his claim, saying that he could have come across her in his dreams. Our path crossed well enough every day in the junior school. Don't forget that I take both economics and business studies, while my friend takes financial accounting and shorthand. Shola is no stranger to me in the school at all. I just had a personal dislike for her way of life. She was too wayward for my liking. I believe she should have limited it to the adults and not take it to the male students, and even to the point of initiating Ronke and Folake into the act. Though I think they had theirs up their sleeves before she added us to theirs. This one of teaching these girls the act of bisexualism is the pinnacle of my dislike for her. I needed to do something. I looked at the girls who were also looking at me and Banji, whose mouth was still open. We were all struck. They confirmed their claims a second time after I had asked if they were sure. Sir, we are sure. We can't lie to you, sir. She taught us the acts before you came to our school last term. Bola reiterated. We don't believe you, but how did it happen? Banji recovered his tongue. The three girls looked at us, their face blank and expressionless, but I could decipher a glint of sadness in it. It showed that it was not something they were proud of. To me, it was as if they were forced into it, but I have to wait for them to tell me the story. It all started when we were in SS2. I and Sade, that was 2 years ago. Miss Shola had just come to our school then and was teaching the junior school mathematics. Bola started the story. Bimbo then was in SS1, but we had been friends from home because we once lived close to each other. It was when I moved to Mushin that I became friends with Sade. She continued. One day, after our biology teacher had just left our class, Miss Shola came in from nowhere and called me out of the class. She asked me to see her in the staff room later that day. At break time, I went to see her in the staff room as she requested. She paused and looked into the face of her friends for effect. They signaled to her to continue. They had to dispute. They had no dispute with what she was saying. When I got to the staff room, I met my friends Shade and Bimbo and two other SS3 girls there. The girls were all seated around that table and it seemed they were waiting for me to come. When I got there, we moved to the mat which was in that place where the bed is. We were all five and she sat in the middle of us. She had it all planned. Shade, tell him the rest, please. She ended her part of the story. Shade took over. Miss Shola sat in the middle as Bola said, and she began the story of how she had been watching the five of us, that Bola, Bimbo, and I were always together, and the two seniors were also always seen together. She said that it was a good thing and that she would like to make our bond stronger. At that stage, we were confused. I didn't know that Bola and Bimbo were there just as they didn't know of my presence there. She had invited us individually and wooed us together. I looked at the girls and shook my head. I was forced to feel pity for them. There had been three innocent girls and one person had changed their life in just less than a day. I looked around the staff room. All was still quiet, an indication that the break was still on and we had not spent much time. Our colleagues were still enjoying their breaks while we were sweating it out with three girls seeking to know a painful part of their lives. Banji looked at me. His face showed he was eager to get along with the story as I was too. She asked what we had learnt about sex. We all replied that we had done it once or twice with our boyfriends. She claps for us. She asked us individually, and I told her then that I had done it twice with my then boyfriend. Bimbo said that she had done twice with her former boyfriend, and Bola then had done it twice with Tunji, a senior student in the then SS3. The two seniors had done it a lot more than we had done. I think one said she had done it 10 times with more than three boys, while the other said she had done it more than 20 times with close to six boys. She told us about her own escapade too. She said she had 18 boyfriends together. They had all slept with her more than 5 times each since she was in secondary school. We had all marveled at her sexual prowess. She had also told us that it was good to have sex as it made one feel lighter and younger. She then asked if we had slept with our fellow girls previously. She stopped and looked at her friends. I knew she would not continue. She wanted the third person to complete the last part. Bimbo knew it was her turn. Her chest was heaving seriously and she was teary-eyed just as were the other two. The reason for their tears I know not till date. Without prompting, she took the stage. She asked if we had slept with girls before. When she asked us, we all looked at ourselves and then replied in the negative because we had not heard about that kind of thing before. We had only heard of it in the movies. She laughed and said she thought we would have been doing it because we moved together, as she had said before. She also said that was why she came for us. We were still baffled because she had not told us the thing she wanted us to do. Then she finally said that she would teach us how to do it. We were surprised because we had thought we didn't hear her well, but she went ahead and promised that she would start with us one after the other and that we would enjoy it. She said it's a good thing that we can do when our boyfriends cannot satisfy us, and we could satisfy ourselves with our friends and even do threesome or foursome. We asked her what it was and she explained it all to us. She said she had done it with two of her friends and her boyfriend once. She never told us the name then, but we later thought that we were lesbians till you enlighten us today, Bola paused. Then she continued. The following day, at break time, she called us all together again and took us to the toilet area. She then went in with us one after the other to have fun with us. She spent like 10 minutes with each one of us, and we were all waiting to have our turn because we were anxious to know how it felt like. We spent more than the break time, but at last we were all initiated in the act of bisexualism. From then, she takes us as she like and did same with us anytime she wants. Then we too started experimenting with ourselves in and outside the school. We even had with two seniors like 3 or 4 times. We also did a five-some where we all were in the toilet doing the thing. She still did it with me last week when our school toy boy was not in school. When we leave school, she will still continue with other girls. She ended the painful story of their journey to bisexualism. I heaved a huge sigh as she ended the story, as Banji stood up, pacing the room uneasily. He was tensed. He looked at the girls and said, "Have you taught other girls in your area?" They all said yes, but they also agreed that the girls outside too all knew about it before they met them. I then knew that the evil was spreading faster than we had thought. Who even knows if our girlfriends were bisexuals? I also decided then that 8 out of 10 ladies out there are bisexuals. Beautiful faces, big fronts, and large backsides. All that makes our head turn are even the things that they expose and explore with their fellow women. Things that are meant for only exploration for men. The end is nearest. The girls were now back to their normal selves. They looked exuberant and were ready to go. They asked for their reply. Your reply is positive, but there will be condition, as you know. I told them, still thinking of how to confront Shola with the fact. I had decided to let her know that we knew her secret. We know that there would be conditions. We would go along with you, sir. We are also very glad that you accepted our proposal. We would come to your place tomorrow evening after school for our first meeting, Bimbo said with an air of finality. With that, they picked themselves off the seats and went out of the staff room. They left the staff room, but the discussion we had did not leave with them. It rang in my heart, and just then I remember how hungry I was. We had no breakfast that morning. I looked at Banji. He would have talked about it had it not been the discussion we had with the girls. He was visibly worried by what he had heard. I started to say something to take him out of his mood, but before I could open my mouth, he said, "Boy, we no chop dis morning comot for house oo. Dem don dey fight royal rumble for my belle oo. Make we find something chop for dis remaining small time abeg. No be me put dem for bad thing oo, abi dry fasting dey?" It was as if he had read my mind. I knew my friend too well. He had shaken the discussion off his mind. He would still continue his duty with Sade as necessary. He had said his mind, and that was all. He would let the matter die there, but God save Shola if she crossed his path. I got up from my seat and we hopped out into the sunny afternoon to grab a brunch in the little time remaining. When we got to the staff canteen, we saw the other teachers, including Shola, sitting at the various tables around. Shola winked at us immediately we entered, but we did as if we saw her not. We sat at the available table and ordered for our food. Minutes later, it was brought and we tackled it with all gusto. As we were eating, we heard the bell ringing. The break was over. Nostalgic feelings swept over me. Gone were those days when I was controlled by the sound of a bell. I remember that at the sound of any bell, especially the breakover bell, I was scrambling over the class. Here I am now, the bell tolling away, and I still sitting and eating my beloved food. Life is never static. We were still eating when the bell sounded. The teacher who were through stood up, some reluctantly, others gingerly, and headed out of the canteen, leaving a few of us. Among those leaving was Shola. The canteen was arranged in such a way that when she was moving from where she sat, she would pass by our seat. Ours was closer to the entrance than hers. She left her seat and made for the exit. She got to where we sat and said, "Good afternoon, guys." None of us replied her. We did as if we never heard her, or let me say, she wasn't there at all. Banji looked at the food he was eating and said, "Boy, this food sweet today will no be small. If na like this dem dey cook for here, I fit no marry sef." She made as if to comment on the statement, but I think she knew better than to do that. Moreover, she had not gone over the initial shock of the rude treatment we gave her. To marry dey even fear me sef when e be say na women wey dey sleep with small girls full our country. So make person dey teach small girls wey reach im junior sister age how to force her fellow girls. Boy, to marry dey fear me oo. All of dem go do leg like mosquito wey dey go meeting come dey look like say dem na the best wife material for the world. Wetin dem go do their own pikin wey dem born by themselves? Rubbish, I spat out. Banji got the wind of my gist. He flowed well with it. We had to strike now that we had the advantage. She was still too stunned to move, and by then our discussion was beginning to prick her conscience because she had begun to look like one who would collapse under her weight. Rubbish upon rubbish. If dem know say dem no go dey do men, make dem kuku stay with women. The thing wey dey vex me be say dem go dey greet like say dem no fit shit and go dey teach small girls bad things. Dem even dey do small boys sef. See dem life outside oo. Foolish set of girls, idiotic bimbos. And to say dem go school, waste of precious money, Banji replied. Shola could not stand the heat of our discussion again. She walked awkwardly out of the canteen, and immediately she left, we started laughing our hearts out. We finished our meal and left the canteen for the staff room. We both had no classes again for the day, hence we walked leisurely to the staff room. For most of the way, we spoke about the girls, and for the little part, we were silent, each with his thoughts. Then we got to the staff room to meet half of the teachers in the room. Shola was absent. She had gone to the class she had. We sat at our table and faced our job, marking notes and assignments. We chat over it as we marked, to the charging of the other teachers. They just could not fathom why we had to keep disturbing them. Some had their heads on their table, others were battling with their lesson notes. We were enigmas in the room. They knew if they said a word, we would make the place more hellish than we had done. So they had learned to leave us as we were when we start our act. We saw their inconveniences and decided to face our work. You need to see the relief on their faces when we stopped our chat. They were happy. I knew in their innermost selves they would be praying for more of that situation. The whole staff room was a graveyard for close to an hour when again I could hear the shuffling of a familiar set of feet from outside. I knew who it was. I looked up at Banji to know if he had heard the same thing. He had heard, and he also knew who it was. We burst into laughter as the feet neared the staff room. Find out what happens in the next episode of Jide's Diary. If you enjoyed this story, you will also enjoy other stories on this channel. Kindly subscribe, hit on the notification bell so you get notified when other stories drop. Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and leave me a comment in the comment section. Also, share with friends and family. Till I come your way again in my next story. This is Bolu Rex saying bye for now.